Hello and welcome to the Warm Blanket Podcast. My name is Gary, I am your host and also the creator of the website and YouTube channel TREKKERPRISE. You probably best know me from there, and if you're watching this in my channel, then welcome. This is a totally new thing that I'm trying out. Podcasting is very new to me. I've been a guest before in different podcasts, but never been a host, so I probably stumble along my way, and just as I did with my YouTube channel, and that's all fine. We all learn to be better than we were yesterday, and I shall not be afraid to step into this new world myself. I only hope that you will enjoy this journey and you will find it entertaining, fun, and also somewhat meaningful. I embarked on my journey in 2016 when I created my website just to really blog about Star Trek and other interesting TV shows I loved as a kid. Nothing really gives me more joy and a feeling of contentment than watching an episode of Star Trek because it has so much to offer. I still remember the first time I got introduced to the show. I was about 11 years old and it all happened as an accident. It was a rainy night around 10 and I couldn't sleep. And I was just browsing on the TV. I accidentally found myself in the battle scene from the epic Star Trek movie Wrath of Khan. Seeing that battle between the Enterprise and the Reliant was just super amazing, and I fell asleep thinking about it. Next morning, I opened up the TV guide, and it turned out that they will repeat the movie in a few days. So there I was. I know I was really spoiled with my first contact. Since that night, of course, I had the chance to explore the universe of Star Trek in a broader scale. I started my long journey with the fourth series in line, Voyager, that inspired me so much back in the early days of my life. DS9 was the second series that I watched in its entirety, and they both guided me through the years. I remember when I was still in school and was not really to the top of the class, I was not even popular. Well, as a matter of fact, I was always the odd one. Never really understood never really understood why I did not get into things like my other classmates did. Never really wanted to learn, and looking at it from 23 years, I was quite a different person. I was an outcast, and here came Star Trek, mainly Voyager, of course, and suddenly I had something to grasp on. Something that really just showed me how to be a better person. The show stepped into my life in a very young age and never left ever since. As a lot of us, I had had my fair share of dilemmas and scenarios in life that I was dealing with. Things that was new or unexpected or simply just beyond my ability to comprehend with. A rough day at school, a date that went wrong, a family situation, how I seen and evaluated myself. It was challenging sometimes. Well, it is still challenging sometimes. I remember overcomplicating things, doing things that was a failure or didn't work out the way I imagined. Then Star Trek came by. If you got this so far listening to me, then you probably know what I'm talking about, and maybe you even found some similarities in my way of describing my early life. I heard many times from people that the show really changed their life for the better. Some became an engineer, some a teacher, a doctor, a military officer, and the list really goes on. All because of Star Trek. It is a fantastic series that I could not be a person without who I am today, and I'm still learning. After indulging myself with Voyager and Deep Space Nine, I've got introduced to Next Generation, Enterprise, the original series, and even to animated series that literally took my breath away. Obviously, apart from Star Trek, I do have many more TV series that I enjoy watching. Somehow I always believed that the golden age of TV was in the 80s and the 90s era. I know we can argue on that, but for me, TV shows like Knight Rider, Sequest, X-Files, or movies like The Last Starfighter, Men in Black, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future paved the path towards Star Trek. Of course, it's 2020 now. A lot has changed. The world as we know it is not the same place it was about 22 years ago. There has been many things happening in the global stage. The tragical 9/11, losing the space shuttle Columbia, the birth of social media, H1N1 pandemic, the population reached over 7 billion, the Higgs boson was discovered, the Curiosity rover took a selfie on Mars, Donald Trump became a president, and now we're in the middle of another pandemic. Of course, these are just major events that happened in the last few years and some that we currently live in. The world does have a different face indeed. Aside all this madness we have to deal with right now, we do have things to be grateful for, and frankly, I'm happy about that. Personally, I've got to meet the girl who became my wife. I've got to meet so many good people, and very few of them became a very good friend of mine. Also, in the Star Trek side of things, we got a lot of going on as well. We got Discovery, Picard, and a few more series coming that we can look forward to. And this is where my war blanket comes in. If you followed me before on social media and read my blog post or watched one or two of my videos, you might know that I often refer to Star Trek as my warm blanket, hence the title of this podcast. That has always been the case with me, and the origin of this metaphor comes from one of my favorite movies, Star Trek Generations. You probably remember the scene between Picard and Guinan, where she's talking about the Nexus as a place where you can feel contentment and you can wrap yourself around with it, joy, just like a blanket. That is what Star Trek to me. A blanket that fills me with joy and warmth when I need it the most. My blanket is not fully inclusive though. Somehow I could not feel the same about the JJ movies, Discovery, or even Picard. Of course, that is another whole episode to talk about, but the bottom line is that my warm blanket is comforting and has the original series, the animated series, TNG, DS9.
Alamarin, count to four. Alamarin, then three more. Alamarin, then three more. Alamarin, if you can see.
Yep, Almoraine included. Also Voyager and Enterprise with 10 beautiful movies that makes me feel great and content every single time when I watch them. They're still part of my warm blanket in many ways, and I cannot wait to talk about this more and find out what is everyone's warm blanket. So this is what this podcast is about. My and our love to Star Trek, and to find that connection that makes up our warm blanket. Everyone loves the show for different reasons, and I'm eager to find out what is it to my special guests. Occasionally there will be episodes with just me behind the mic, and the mic, I mean my headset. I still have to get a proper podcasting mic for this, but we'll see how this goes. And so I will be behind the mic diving into different topics, different aspects of my love towards the show, discussing also some news and occasionally even an episode or so. However, I don't want to turn this podcast around to talk about episodes and dissect them, as I know there's a lot of them out there. In this podcast, most of the time I will be welcoming someone for a casual and meaningful conversation to find out what makes them feel content about Star Trek, where is their love comes from and what it means to them. In short, what is their warm blanket? We will gradually find out in each episode. And with that, welcome to the Warm Blanket Podcast. This will be available through Anchor in many major podcasting platforms and will be uploaded to the TREKKERPRISE website and the YouTube channel as well. I hope you will have a fantastic time, and I will see you in the next episode. Live long and prosper.